What's up, guys? How's everybody doing? So today's episode on Retroverse 83 podcast is going to be about my top 10 soundtracks. So 5 are going to be for movies and 5 are going to be for video games. So you can't have a movie without a soundtrack. So it is early in the morning and I had to get up and do my podcast so I can air it tomorrow. So it's been kind of a crazy few weeks. We've had a lot of sickness in my family, just things that work, of course. I'm always at work. So, but hey, I got to make time for you guys. So, today's episode is going to be on Let's Talk Music. Let's talk music, retro style, Retroverse 83 style. So let's do this, man. I just wanted to give this podcast and just wanted to talk with y'all a little bit and talk about some great film music. So we're gonna start out with the movies. So 5 top soundtracks to movies. So I would probably have to say maybe number 5 would probably have to be Street Fighter from 1995, starring Jean-Claude Van Damme and Raul Julia. The music was composed by none other than Grim Reavel. He also did The Crow. He also did Hard Target. Even though the movie didn't really succeed to what it was supposed to succeed to, the soundtrack, they gave the soundtrack some justice. So I was very, very pleased with the soundtrack because it's very, very powerful. And it's a very powerful soundtrack. The themes to it, even the very first track on the CD is really good. They actually made 2 soundtracks to it. One is a score and one is an album. So the first one, the score is by Grim Reavel. The other soundtrack is like music inspired by the movie. I think it was produced by Ice Cube or whatever, by Priority Records. It's like a kind of a rap album, but it's pretty good. So number 5 would probably have to be Street Fighter. So if you haven't checked it out, check it out. You can look it up on iTunes or Spotify or even YouTube. I have it on CD. So I'm kind of a retro type dude, so I like physical copies of things. So yeah. So number 5 would probably have to be Street Fighter. And let's see, number 5. Number 4 would probably have to be Godzilla, King of the Monsters. None other by Bear McCreary. He did awesome. He's known for soundtracks as the God of War series on the PlayStation. He's really good. He did some of the Assassin's Creed. He did one for the Jack the Ripper DLC on the PlayStation 4, and the soundtrack's just amazing. But when they made the whole MonsterVerse or whatever, when Godzilla was coming up in the film back in 2014, it was pretty cool because like when they brought him in, like the themes to the monsters of the movies weren't the original themes. So when Godzilla 2014 came out, I was kind of surprised that they didn't bring it back. But when the sequel came out, King of the Monsters, apparently he got the rights to it and got to do the music to the movie, to the original themes, for the original Japanese themes. I know that it's backwards, but yeah, it's really good. He brought back Godzilla's theme, Mothra's theme. He even did one for Rodan, which is probably the best theme in the movie. So that's my favorite one. And King Ghidorah's theme, it's really cool. So you need to check it out. That's what really brought the movie. And when Godzilla shows up, it plays his iconic theme when he comes up. Dun 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 dun. Yeah, it's really cool. So number 4 would probably have to be Godzilla, King of the Monsters. Number 3, probably, I have it right here. This is probably going to be funny, but it is Superman 4, The Quest for Peace. So it's probably the worst out of all Supermans, but I have it on, I don't know, sorry, the lights kind of, I have it on CD, which is pretty cool. The music is adapted and conducted by Alexander Courage. And it's really cool because it has just the songs and the themes that John Williams wrote for the Superman series. And actually John Williams actually came back to write the theme to Nuclear Man. And if you haven't like heard the soundtrack, just give it a shot, because it's pretty good. Especially when Nuclear Man's theme comes up. Dun 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 dun. Superman, we're a Superman. But yeah, it's pretty cool. So, but they do also have the themes of John Williams' the iconic theme to Superman. So Superman 4 probably have to be number 3. So I do like the movie myself. I remember as a kid going to the book fair at school, getting the book to Superman 4, which is pretty funny. But yeah, this is probably has to be number 3. Number 2, The Karate Kid Part 2. Actually, all the Karate Kid films, 1, 2, and 3. Even the next Karate Kid, by none other than Bill Conti. He's legendary. His music is just so powerful and so like beautiful. It's just like one of them soundtracks where you can just get up in the morning and just listen to it, and it's like, wow. He has that little flute playing, and just it's beautiful. The Karate Kid, it's like that's what comes to mind is the music in the Karate Kid series, and I'm like, man, this is just such a beautiful soundtrack. And Part 2, I think it's the most beautiful out of all of them. Part 1 was more powerful and more just like an orchestra, like more full music. But Part 2 was just like they were in Okinawa, and it had kind of had that oriental feeling to it. The flute was playing in the background, and it's beautiful. It's a beautiful soundtrack, and that's what makes the movie. That's what makes the movie to the Karate Kid series. And yeah, it's pretty amazing. I wish that they could make more soundtracks like that, with more sentimental and just more heartfelt, more just that powerful feeling, especially when he was Daniel LaRusso was going to fight Chosen at the very end, and it just delivers. So Karate Kid 2 probably has to be my favorite, at number 2. So yeah, if you have not checked out, this is actually like a limited edition soundtrack. So they only made so many of them, I believe. But it says a limited edition of 3,000 units. So it's pretty cool the way that they're doing these. So Superman 4 and the Karate Kid 2 are like that. So a lot of the Karate Kid soundtracks are being released as scores, because when they were released back in the day, they weren't like released as scores. The soundtracks were made with the music inside of them, but like as the score part of the soundtrack or the movie, they didn't release them for whatever reason. Why, I don't know, but I thought it was pretty cool, because it's like, wow. That's because like it's funny how they make soundtracks, like they put the music part, like the songs and everything, into a soundtrack, and the songs are not even in the movie, which is funny. I guess that's why they call it music inspired by the soundtrack. So yeah, that's probably has to be number 2. And I don't know, this one was kind of tough. It was either between 2 people, and I would probably have to say number 1 is probably going to have to be John Williams. So we know that John Williams is very, probably one of the best music composers around. And there's so many composers that I could just name off. And John Williams is probably number 1. He's number 1 in my book. Superman, Star Wars, E.T., Close Encounters of the Third Kind. He did so many soundtracks, all the Indiana Joneses, and those are like the Temple of Doom is amazing. Star Wars, all the Star Wars movies are good. Episode from 1 to whatever they made. How many Star Wars did they make? But it's pretty cool because that's the iconic theme, the Star Wars theme that opens up even in the Disney movies now. But Star Wars, even the soundtrack Shadows of the Empire, which was a video game, a book, a graphic novel, and they actually made that story into a soundtrack. But the album is actually made by Joel McNeely. He also did like the Jungle Book and stuff like that, the older like the VHS copies of it. But they included John Williams' theme in it, so they made it its own kind of, its own universal story to adapted. So Shadows of the Empire is like, I think it takes place between Strikes Back and Jedi. So John Williams, he did Superman 2, wrote the themes to Superman 2. There's nothing like John Williams, and I believe he's still doing music, man. And he's still doing all the Indiana Jones. He did the last one. He won awards for the last Indiana Jones they did, the new one, the Dial of Destiny. But I think, I don't know, man. He did Jurassic Park, The Lost World. The Lost World's a very good soundtrack by John Williams. If you have not checked that out, check it out. I have it on CD. I used to have it on cassette tape, but John Williams is number one. So it was a pretty tough call between John Williams and probably Jerry Goldsmith. Jerry Goldsmith is he's an iconic music composer as well. Gremlins, Back to the Future. No, that's Alan Silvestri. Sorry. Jerry Goldsmith did Gremlins 2, The Burbs. The Burbs is really good. So it's hard to just choose 5. But John Williams number 1. So let me know what y'all's top 5 soundtracks or whatever that y'all like. I love doing these podcasts with you guys, and it's cool just to sit down and talk with y'all and just to share the thoughts and nostalgia and what we grew up with and what we think and like. So there's a lot of different opinions that people like in their soundtrack movies, who they prefer, who they think's better. But yeah, that's my pick. So number 1 has to be John Williams. I think the second, I think another composer that is pretty iconic is Hans Zimmer, and Hans Zimmer is awesome. He does all the, he did the Man of Steel, the Batman versus Superman, the Da Vinci Code. It's very, very good. Interstellar. He's a very good composer. So the Da Vinci Code's really good too. But John Williams, guys. John Williams, Star Wars, Indiana Jones. Indiana Jones, The Temple of Doom probably has to be the best Indiana Jones soundtrack ever made. Probably the best Indiana Jones movie. But apparently, I didn't know if y'all knew this, but movie-wise, The Temple of Doom is supposed to be actually Indiana Jones 1. So it goes Temple of Doom, Raiders of the Lost Ark, Crusade, Kingdom of Crystal Skull, and the Dial of Destiny. So I don't know why they did it that way. But yeah, that's my top 5 movie soundtracks. So we're going to talk about video game soundtracks now. So video game soundtracks. So let's see here. I don't know. Number 5 would probably have to be Jurassic Park 2 on the Super Nintendo. That's an amazing soundtrack. Oh man, I actually had that soundtrack recorded. I had my stereo hooked up to my Super Nintendo back in the day in these big old stereo things, and recorded it on cassette tape. So if you haven't checked it out, check that one out, guys. Super Nintendo, Jurassic Park 2. That's number 5 on my video game list. Number 4 probably have to be Super Mario World. Super Mario World, guys. Actually, just a Super Mario Worlds in general. So Super Mario World, that's actually my ringtone on my phone. So Super Mario World had to be number 4. Yeah, there's nothing like a Super Mario game. You can't have it. Can't have Super Mario Brothers without the theme song. Yeah, Super Mario, guys. So Super Mario Brothers is number 4 on the video game. Number 3 probably have to be Donkey Kong Country. So this is going to be kind of weird. So I'm going to put 2 and 1. I'm going to have to do Donkey Kong Country 1 and 2. The music to the movies the games are just phenomenal. And I don't know, man. Donkey Kong Country, they also did the music to Battletoads on the Nintendo, and I think the whole series. So Battletoads and Donkey Kong Country I think they're made by Rare Company. But I've never had the actual soundtrack to Donkey Kong Country. I've recorded it like onto a cassette tape. But Donkey Kong Country 1 and 2 have to be at number 3. Especially part 2. Donkey Kong Country 2 is pretty cool. It's like they had that pirate vibe to it, so that was pretty neat. So that was number 3. Let's see, number 2. Oh man, I don't know. Number 2 is kind of, I don't know. I was thinking about it all last night, and I was like, man, what could it be? What could it be? Number 2, Metal Gear Solid. Metal Gear Solid on the PlayStation 1. That was a solid soundtrack. And I actually had those Snake's Revenge, Metal Gear Solid for the Nintendo, Metal Gear Solid for the PlayStation. That was a pretty solid soundtrack. And it's the encounter theme, the last fight scene between Snake and Metal Gear Rex, Gray Fox, man, it's like, it just drags you into the game. It drags you into it. And it's just like, you can't let go. Like, you're in it. So it's like a video game, but you're in it, like, for real. Like, so, like, me and my little brother, we used to talk, man, Metal Gear Solid really taught us a lot in life. But I used to have the book and everything to the Metal Gear Solid thing. But the soundtrack's really cool, guys. Metal Gear Solid, the PlayStation version. I know they have remade it into like Twin Snakes, I believe, on the GameCube. It is now available on the Nintendo Switch, and you can purchase it on there. All of them. It's the whole Metal Gear Solid genre franchise is awesome. So yeah, Metal Gear Solid. Number one in the video game soundtracks has to be The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past. So, The Legend of Zelda, there's just something about the theme. There's something about the fairy fountain theme. Everything about Zelda. It's just like, that game is just like, it's perfect. That's all I have to say about Zelda. It's just a perfect mashup. Whoever, like, when they created The Legend of Zelda, it was just beautiful. And everything they did with that game was just awesome. But the music, the theme, even the Adventures of Link, the Zelda 2 on the Nintendo, that was a pretty solid soundtrack as well. So yeah, The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past, you know, there's just something about that, you know, even when it starts out and you know, it's raining outside and Link's in the bed and I think his uncle's talking to him. He's gonna go out and try to save the princess or whatever, and it's just, the music's just so dramatic. It just builds you into just to start the game off. And then Hyrule Field theme, dun 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 dun. So there's just something about it. The 64 Zelda, the Link Between Two Worlds. It's so yeah, The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past, in my opinion, is the number one soundtrack of all time. So the fairy fountain, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. I actually have that as on my phone as well. I used to have it as my ringtone. So yeah, that's what it has to be, guys. The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past is number one on my list on the movie and video game soundtracks. So I hope that you enjoyed this podcast, and we're going to be doing more, guys. I love doing these with you guys, and you know, it's just hard for me to do a lot of podcasts, but I want to do it, and I know it's one step at a time, but I hope that y'all enjoy this journey with me, and I want to continue doing it. But just keep subscribing to the channel, keep viewing it, let people know about my podcast and what we do. This is what we do. It's nostalgia, 90s, 80s and 90s, and just toys, games, books, comic books, pogs, just everything. So, but if y'all haven't subscribe to the channel. I'm on YouTube, I'm on Instagram, TikTok, X, Twitter. I'm on everything. So I'm just trying to do it, man. I'm just trying to get out there. But if you haven't subscribe to it. And if y'all haven't reached out to Retro Rick's situation that happened to his YouTube channel, it got hacked a few days ago, so let's try to get it back. I'm trying to do all I can. So I hope everybody has a very awesome and blessed day. So start listening to soundtracks. Let me know what y'all soundtracks are. Video game soundtracks, cartoon soundtracks, movie soundtracks, whatever. Y'all just keep listening and let me know in the comments below what y'all's favorite ones are. So I hope that y'all enjoyed this episode of Retroverse 83 Podcast. Welcome to Retroverse 83 Podcast.